Hey, Val.
Good morning, Dean. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Okay, Val. So tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want to start off with our favorite first hypothetical.
Okay. I'm a brand strategist. Sometimes that's marketing. More often, it's about revenue growth, new avenues for growth. That often starts with a brand platform exercise, sometimes a visual identity chain. And then I look at ways that are authentic to your brand that we can extend into revenue generating opportunities, whether that's through licensing, brand partnerships, organic growth in a new business line, etc.
Okay. All right, good. Then this should be easy for you, or
Yes,
very difficult.
yes.
Or maybe you're just going to be tactful, and that's going to make it hard.
Okay. No, I'm not tactful.
Okay. So
Continue.
you've got a new client, not virtual this time. They're only 5 minutes from your home. So
Right.
on day one of this engagement, you're going to go to their office Monday, 9 o'clock. You're going to walk in the door, right?
Mhm.
You're walking in the door. What's the nightmare scenario that you're walking into, and what's the dream scenario you're walking into?
Okay. The nightmare situation
There
is
we go.
no one knows who I am or why I'm there.
Right.
A lot of my work is project based. I come in, they might have an underperforming part of the business, but I come in, I'm there to look at the business, see where I think there are avenues for growth, find out what's been going on, and no one knows. Which makes it very difficult. People are often threatened, feel threatened. The marketers can feel threatened. I'm usually hired by the CEO of small and medium sized enterprises. And, so the best scenario, the dream scenario is when I come in, everyone knows, everyone's on board. People are actually looking forward to it. And, I call it like the three C's: communication, at worst, cooperation, right? They're going to share material with me. They're going to talk to me. I can't do this unilaterally, though
Right.
sometimes that's what I'm set up for. And, ultimately collaboration. But often um, a CEO has brought you in because they think someone's underperforming, or they have to, we've got a later question that I won't go into on that. And, they just operate unilaterally. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
them didn't come from traditional business backgrounds. And so I run into that. So,
Okay. All right. Makes sense. And Shannon, hello.
Hello.
So Shannon, tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want to know about your like worst case and best case scenario when you're walking into a new client.
Okay, beautiful. I am so happy to be here. Thank you. My name is Shannon Hernandez. I'm the founder of Joyful Business Revolution, where we help businesses amplify their mission and turn it into a movement with the power of email marketing. Email marketing is my love language.
Mine too.
Yes. Okay. So, Val, you brought back a worst nightmare I hadn't thought about. So, thank you for that. When they don't know who you are, that is definitely not cool. I think one of the hardest nightmare scenarios to walk into is when you walk in and you realize you've been hired, to be the expert and to help people in your expertise, but you're constantly overruled or micromanaged, or there's these lofty, unrealistic, right, expectations of overnight results. It just sets the whole thing up for sadness all the way around. And I'd say the dream scenario would be when you walk in and the company has already allocated the right resources. They've got the time, they've got the team, they've got the budget, and the team is happy with each other and they're excited. And you've got the copywriter team that's excited, and you've got the other, the graphics people, and everyone's talking to each other in the vision of what it is that we're here to do.
All right. Good. So let me ask you this then. Okay. Hopefully this has happened. So we just talked about day one. Let's jump way into the future, and it's now day 89. Not that far in the future, but for this podcast, it's about as far as we
mhm,
go. Okay.
mhm.
It's day 89. You're in the hallway of this place again. And one of the major stakeholders there, a board member, CEO, whatever, says, you pass them in the hall and said, "Hey, like I was thinking about you last night," and I think I had kind of an aha moment because when we first brought you in, right, there was like the value prop and what you were going to do and what we wanted, and that was great. What I really didn't understand until like recently, after having you here for 3 months, is what?
I think that people within a company or on the board don't have perspective necessarily about their company and the state that it's in. Often it's about what are opportunities for growth as well. And outsiders,
Mm-hmm.
bring up things that people within the company just can't. It's not through lack of experience. It's not because they're not intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also that can happen. I generally work, my core industries were entertainment, live entertainment, hospitality, service industries. Now I get into professional services and other companies as well. But I think that sometimes coming from a different industry as well is helpful, because we have a way of doing things in our other, domains that can apply here that people just don't think of. And so I think that's normally the aha moment, that they just didn't see. Sometimes it's a business model, sometimes it's an avenue for growth. There are a lot of things.
Shannon, how about you? When a client has an aha moment about you, what is that aha moment?
Yeah, this is what it sounds like. Shannon, thank you. We finally realized how fragmented or reactive our entire marketing effort was before you arrived here. And you've brought strategy, you've brought coherence, you've brought a messaging, I'll call it a messaging strategy, right? A coherent messaging strategy. And all the marketing is working together. And we're looking at our data and email, and it all makes sense now.
All right, Shannon. So then, let's switch over to a different hypothetical. And now I'm going to put you on a stage at a conference. You're the keynote speaker, okay? And it's about 250 people in the audience, and every one of them became a fractional CMO yesterday. So you're talking to them. I'm going to walk you through like 3 parts of this talk, and you just like finish the thought with however much you need to put in to finish the thought for me, okay? But
Okay.
starting off talking to this audience, right? You're telling them, look, y'all just came out of corporate. I can tell you that as a fractional CMO, when you're first starting out, the thing you're going to be shocked by is what?
The emotional roller coaster of it all.
Mm.
You are trying to balance the excitement of the new opportunities, and you have a new client, and then you're trying to also, the counterbalance of that is the stress. You're navigating the culture, you're trying to get aligned with their vision, which is sometimes murky at best, and you're managing conflicting expectations. So quote unquote soft skills are like super important here to ride this emotional roller coaster.
All right. Excuse me. And Val, how about you? What are they
First
going
of
to
all,
be
they
shocked by?
they may not know that when they walk in, people don't know why they're there and what they're meant to do.
Mm.
That can happen. As and I think that what they often find, what I can find, is that the problem is the CEO. Quite often, the people that they're
Right.
bringing up, that the problem is that staff have not been managed properly. I mean, it's all aside from strategy, from business
Yeah.
strategy. And, I think um, they sometimes are pleasantly surprised, and people are excited and they want to cooperate and they want to grow. They want to be developed. They're glad that someone senior has come in, and other times, that's not the situation. Sometimes communication, the CEO brings you in, but then sometimes it's hard to get their ear all the time when you would like. And so it's really a mixed bag, and every assignment is different. Because I'm usually not brought in for a long-term fractional CMO position, it's maybe a little bit easier for me, and possibly for Shannon as well. I don't know, but I think it's really a mixed bag. But it is, soft.
Right.
It is soft skills. It is soft.
Okay. Then Val, let's talk to this audience some more because you've clearly got something to say here. Clearly, Shannon does too. Okay. So you're looking at this audience and you're saying, look, what you're going to find, many of your clients just don't understand what.
It can be so much, Dean. um, they don't understand how long it takes to do certain things. They don't understand how important culture and engaging the rest of the company and what your goals are, how important that is. Uh, you know, they also, I think, um, don't understand the importance of actually implementing the strategy that you
Mhm.
create for them, which I've referenced in our first talk, Dean. And, it's one of the great disappointments for consultants and I guess FCMOs too, is
Right.
that you can build an extensive strategy. And McKinsey, in fact, said this that 75% of their clients don't implement the strategy that they create for them. So sometimes your work feels incomplete because you've come in and done your job. So, that might be a big surprise to consultants and FCMOs. And, it's harder to be an FCMO because you can be let go of quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably start you with a 6-month contract, And so there's a lot of pressure to show results. So sometimes it's within 3 months if they want results, And there are some areas like what Shannon does where you can change pretty quickly. And sometimes it needs a bigger systemic change. Sometimes the business model is flawed, something that large.
Right.
So it just depends. Every case is different. I mean, I like that part of it. It's the diagnostics
Yeah.
company. That's the most fun for me.
Shannon, how about you? When you're talking to this audience, you're going to tell them a lot of your clients, they just don't know or don't understand what.
Yeah, I'd say the time that they don't understand the time and the resources required for strategic marketing. And a lot of times, I mean, we're in this society, grow up or not, but we're in a society that prioritizes quick, fast results. And that's often not what sustainable marketing is. And so a lot of what I'm trying to educate and my clients on, and to Val's point, I sign a 1-year minimum contract. Right. But the reason why is because I can lay out, this is what I want to do in Q1 with your email marketing strategy. This is what I want to do in Q2. Right. And so I've set the benchmarks so we can see the progress along the way, which has helped a lot because that was a tricky situation I was falling into early on in serving as a fractional CMO. But I just want to say anything that's worth everything takes time, patience, and a budget, and tweaking and looking at data and collaboration. And that's where the results come long term.
Well, and then, okay, so Shannon, we're at the end of our speech, and some intern is trying to signal you to get off, right? And they're raising the music like they do with the Oscars, trying to get you to finish. By God, you got one more thing to say.
Yes.
You're going to tell this audience, look, if they're getting me off the stage, if I can only tell you one thing about getting clients, it is
Get out of your house and go meet people in person.
mm,
Be a human. Oh my gosh. Just be a human. Word of mouth referrals, I think for
right.
fractional CMO is really where it's at, but nobody can refer you if they don't know you. If they don't know you, your expertise, your heart, and like the kind of clients you're working towards.
And Val, how about you? What's the one lesson you want to make sure they know about getting clients?
Very similar to what Shannon said. Be in the world, get away from your computer. It's not going to all happen on LinkedIn. Sometimes it does. But I think also, like, I'm a big consumer of business media, trade media, and I often find my clients because there are two ways I find my clients. Someone I see is having a problem and they have a need that I think I can help with. number one. Number two, someone has merged, someone has something interesting going on, someone, I had a client in the UK that I contacted 2 years before I actually got the gig, but I read an article in the paper about them. I said, I hear what you want to do. I can do that for you, and they weren't ready then. So you never know. And I think also just this being in the world, it's not necessarily the person you speak to. It's someone they know, or someone they've worked with that the business comes from. So don't be so worried. Sometimes, a lot of it is just socializing. It's not business related. It's not going to a conference. It's not, it's, most of our friends and the things we get invited to are other professionals or, entertainers in my case. And so, they say polish it here, it shines there. And I really believe in that.
Okay, Val. So then you finally get off stage. Well, you were very chatty, but they finally got you off stage. And now you're out onto the conference floor with all the booths and people milling around.
Right.
You're encountering a lot of prospective clients. So you're
Mhm.
having these sort of impromptu talks with
Right.
prospects. Okay? As you're talking to these companies and they're talking to you about marketing or what they think they need, what do they tend to overrate for what's important, and what do they tend to underrate that you wish they would like nurture and cherish and put more attention on?
Well, if they're talking to me, they're probably interested in improving their marketing in some
Mm-hmm.
respect, right? But what they often underrate is, I might not take a client. Of course, I'm going to have the initial conversation and do a follow
Yeah.
up regardless. But, maybe they have a flawed business model. Maybe their product is really not good.
Yeah.
Maybe the market conditions are such that they really need to pivot right now. And so there's some basic business fundamentals that I don't know if they always take into consideration, and they just look at it as in, this is what we are, this is what we have. We're just, market it more. We need more. And so,
What do they overrate?
how good their business model and their product is, it depends with everyone. I mean, quite often, if it's a CEO, sometimes they overrate their capabilities,
Right.
Um, so, I get all sorts, as the
Yeah.
Brits say, I get all sorts. So each case is different.
And Shannon, how about you when you're out on the floor or you're talking to prospects on, online or whatever, right? What's one thing that they tend to overrate about marketing, or what you should be, you would focus on if you worked with them, and what do they underrate?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say that's going to go under the whole umbrella is I don't think many of us have a leads problem. I think we have a conversion problem.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's overrated is, paying attention to vanity metrics like social media as an indicator to
Yeah.
if you're making money or doing good or whatever, right? And then one of the things that's underrated, which is my love language, right, is getting that customer segmentation and the power of email marketing and getting those data-driven insights so we can make better decisions and make more money. Like that's
Right.
what I'm here to do for people.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then, as you're talking to prospective clients, Shannon, like, what's a red flag and what's a green flag? As in, like, these people are not for me, and I'm not even sure these people should hire any fractional CMO. Like, what's a red flag, and what's a like? Oh, that would be, yeah, that's really, I really like that. That's clever. That's like they've worked it out and they thought it through. So when you're talking to a prospect, what's a green flag and a red flag a prospect might show?
Yeah, for me, a red flag is they think a fractional CMO is also a copywriter, the strategist, the implementation person. Like they're just wanting one person to fill like 5 jobs. Like that's a hard no for me because one, it would be out of integrity. I'm not good at some of those jobs, right? A green flag would be they have a vision, and it may not be the most perfect, clear vision, but they know where they want to go and they've got long-term thinking. Right. And it's not just this desire for quick wins, but like really investing in the right resources and and having a partner, a strategic thought partner by their side to help them reach their goals.
And Val, how about you? You're talking to these companies. What's a
Yeah,
red
I
flag
mean,
they throw up? No, it's green.
number one, I would say company culture and just how
Mhm.
the CEO comes across. Like sometimes there's a red flag early on, and you just think, I don't want to work with this person.
Right.
But I think actually, things like it's a bad product, it's a flawed business model. I agree that I'm not a specialist. I'm a strategist. I'm not a specialist in every single area of marketing. And so I both, out of integrity as well.
Hmm.
Um, I'm upfront with them. I said, well, I can do this, this, and this. I said, but I want a copywriter for this particular. Sometimes I don't need a copywriter. Sometimes I do need a copywriter. When I'm doing smaller rebranding jobs, they
Hmm.
often want to hire a designer and brand strategist, in the same person. I'm like, no, that's not what I do. And then you have to explain to them what branding actually is. And yeah, unrealistic expectations is another thing.
Right.
No,
All
it
right
can't
then.
be done in 3 months.
Now, this is pretty unusual. The way that the podcast is set up is that every guest, and they're all fractional CMOs, pick their own date and time, right? We always record on Thursday, so it's kind of like the old Model T, right? You pick any color as long as it's black. You can record it any day you want, but it's going to be a Thursday. And so people are randomly put together into. Now, you guys are a little unusual in that you've actually like talked to each other. You saw, hey, who is this? I'm going to be co-guesting with. So off you go. But now that you've actually done that and you've been here, the way that I normally like to set this up is this. Okay. So now, you've done your talk, you've milled around on the floor, you're in the elevator. You know that everybody going to this floor is a fractional CMO, but you don't know the other person who just walked into the elevator. So it's the two of you. Like, they aren't hypothetical. It's literally the two of you. So we'll start with Shannon. So Shannon turns to Val and she says, hey, I'm Shannon. Um, since I've got you here, let me ask you this, and then finish it.
Hey, Val, it's Shannon. Since I've got you here, let me ask you, what have you learned working with so many different international clients over the years?
Um, I have learned, personally and through not hard knocks, but painful lessons, to assume nothing when you're developing internationally. Don't assume you know what works in another country. Don't not spend a lot of time there before you decide to launch into that market. You need to look at everything from, like a zero-based budget standpoint, right? You're starting from scratch. Is there even a need for this product? Would it be culturally unusual to use this product? With Hard Rock Cafe, for instance, we were doing 3 or 4 table turns in London, more than that probably, at lunchtime. And in Paris, we were doing 1.5. Well, that's because the Parisians want 3-course meals.
Mhm.
Every meal is 3 courses. And so our revenue is still good. And I think we also learned, and this is a long time ago now, like they want outside space. This is a cafe culture. Europe's the cafe culture. They want outside space. And it's really from every department of from the operations people to the concept development people to the marketing people, like each thing has to be looked at in, within that country, and hire local people too. Don't hire all Americans to, take your positions just because they want to live in Paris.
Val, what's your question for Shannon? This
I wrote
stranger
it in
who.
another notebook and I do not remember. Um, because we did confer on this
Mhm.
question first.
Oh,
I
you guys are
remember.
the only ones I've ever known of to like prepped on
I
this
know.
question. ahead of-
Shannon, why don't you go ahead and answer the question that I have forgotten?
I'd love to, Val.
Actually, why don't you tell us what this lost and forgotten question is?
And I apologize.
No, it's okay. The lost and forgotten question is, what did 15 years of teaching in Spanish
Yes.
Harlem teach
Now
me
I
about
remember.
So 15 years of public school teaching, the last 5 of which were in Spanish Harlem, New York City, taught me that the power of a story is what captivates people. People that look very different from you, people that have very, like, I taught 8th graders, right? So like there was no getting out of there alive if I was not on my toes with like good stories day in and day out. And so I really brought that into the skill set that I bring as a fractional CMO, is getting the story down. And we all have multiple stories of companies and visions and missions, but using story that evokes emotion to drive the marketing campaigns. Like that is my jam all day long.
All right. Okay. So, Shannon, this has been great, by the way. You guys did fantastic. Let's wind it up. Wind it down, whichever. Shannon, who should be contacting you these days, and what's the best way for them to get to you?
Yeah, so if you are a business who has an email initiative, an email marketing initiative, and you wish it was working better, converting better, engaging better, I am the fractional CMO for you because email marketing is my love language. You can reach me on LinkedIn at Shannon Hernandez. And you can also visit my website at joyfulbusinessrevolution.com.
And Val, how about you? Who should reach out to you these days, and how?
People who need and want new business growth. And that can come from improving their marketing. That can come from repositioning their brand. That can come from building new revenue streams by building authentic extensions to their brands.
All right. All right, both of you, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dean. You're almost done, Dean.
Almost done. Episode 187. I'm getting there.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you on the next episode. See you in the next clip. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Cool.